because I can hear you when we're in the office. If it's just me and you in the office, yeah, your nose,
there's some blockage.
The path that the air needs to move through the maze that is your septum is incredible.
Yeah. Charlie's a pretty fucking heavy breather as well.
No nuts today.
We also had more feedback on Charlie's nuts that they need to be put away. And
you could actually see him?
Nah, but you know what, these big Greek boys, man.
Yeah.
Got big Greek boys, got big Greek nuts.
And we're on. All right, crazy. I think I'm going to throw all that in anyway. But welcome to the podcast, Angus Bradley.
Man, this is an absolute trip to be here.
Yeah, our first interstate in-house guest. What's it like in the hub?
It's crazy because last time I was here, still in your old facility, also didn't know you from a bar of soap. So just how long has it been since I was down? Like 2 years?
It was years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
It would have been the year before COVID, 2019.
Yeah, so years ago.
It was just before your Sydney seminar on RPE programming.
Yep.
Yeah.
2019, start of 2019.
So, nearly 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. We've been moving, man.
Yeah, it's insane. Because I remember because that was a surprise gift from my girlfriend. Like, we were out at dinner at Rockpool the night before, and she was like, here's the other part of your gift. Like, we're going to see Jamie Smith tomorrow. We're going to meet your hero. And I literally had to excuse myself and go to the bathroom and throw up.
No.
And then to be sitting here on your podcast.
Shut the fuck up.
Deadly serious. I was like, legit, like $500 dinner. I was like, why'd you tell me that right now?
Wow.
Your hero.
My hero.
Is that better than being recognised at Itchy Knee?
I never thought someone would say James
The
Smith
man,
is their
Angus
hero.
Bradley,
Angus Bradley.
when he heard you.
It's crazy. Oh, it's cool. It's cool. We're making an impact, boys. We actually are. It's cool. It is cool.
I think it helps when it's interstate as well, because I definitely used to realise it when I'd meet people who didn't know me like as a person, but knew my band back in the day, and they just put you on this pedestal and things like that. And I think it allows you to impact people a little bit better having that sort of distance. Because I think of some of the trainers that inbox me probably look up to me a little bit now. I'm like, if you could see how I live.
Yeah, you're just a normal dude.
Yeah.
100%.
living your
Surfing.
life.
Yeah, basically.
Surfing. So you just went to the wave pool, the new wave pool out west near the airport. What was it like?
Did you go?
Yeah, surfing in fresh water, it was crazy. Like, I think as surfers, like, we always romanticize the adventure part of our sport. And, like, you know, every wave, it's special because it's yours and no one else's. But then surfing, like, now we've got this mechanical component to it. So I think it's going to do crazy things for the sport in the sense that we're going to have wave park surfing, and then we're going to have, like, I think it will go into the category of adventure surfing. Because that's been the tough thing about surfing competitively is, like, it's kind of a weird sport because it is subjective. Not everyone gets the same canvas, whereas now everyone gets the same canvas. But then obviously, because you've got like replication there, the technical aspect of surfing is going to go through the roof. And I already felt that yesterday. Like, for me, surfing's always been about adventure, expression and things like that. But even yesterday, halfway through the session, I'm like, all right, I've had the same wave 6 times. Why not surfing it better yet? So I think in terms of like, the technical side of surfing, it's going to go through the roof. And like, someone did a cry stare.
Oh, really?
In a wave park the other day.
Wow.
Like a legit cry stare.
Just like full blown.
Yeah. But seeing that in a wave park versus being out surfing in the wild and seeing a cry stare, that is like a whole nother level. So it will be interesting to see that division.
Will they have competitions in wave pools?
It was crazy. A week before the Olympics, they're like, are we doing this at a beach or a wave park?
Oh, really? So it's going to happen.
It should move to the wave park. And I think the fact that the Olympics came in and it's not really the pinnacle of the sport, how do you make it the pinnacle of the sport? It's like head off in a bit of a different direction. Yeah. And I think adding the wave pool, it just, for an Olympic sport, it just makes a bit more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the Olympics have been shaken up this week. We've lost boxing.
Yeah.
Weightlifting.
Weightlifting's gone, which we'll talk about with you. Obviously, you do have a
Well, that's what's weird for me. It's like the actual sport that should be in the Olympics that I'm associated with, weightlifting, is on the out. I'm like, how is surfing the thing?
Surfing and the rock climbing, the sport climbing.
Yeah, they've shaken it up a lot.
They've really changed it.
I've heard breakdancing's coming in, which
that doesn't make sense to me. How
Are they just opting for sports where steroids don't work?
Yeah.
Maybe. That's a good take.
Very skill-based sports.
That's a good take. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Obviously we all know that with ollie lifting, it's the drugs are the problem. I imagine that. I remember seeing that like it's like a stupid percentage of medalists from the last
12th got on the podium at London.
Yeah, exactly. Like
after retesting,
literally just like that. They're just like shuffling leaderboards up. Like you,
It does.
yeah.
But it's such a crazy problem because even of the people who are doping, like I genuinely believe within that there's diversity as well in the sense that there's the state-sponsored dopers and then there's probably the people where it's more your nation just turning a blind eye or maybe the sport's not a big focal point. Yeah, sorry about the sniffing. I'll blow my nose in a sec. But yeah, I think, and that's why it's better to just burn the IWF to the ground and just start again, get it out of the Olympics, decentralize the sport, and maybe reintroduce it down the line if the Olympics ends up hanging around. But I just think in the state that it's in, the corruption is way too rooted in deep. Burn it to the ground, disintegrate it, and see what comes out of the ashes.
Yeah, well, it's like the whole thing's always been like, oh, Olympic weightlifting's in there, powerlifting's no better, as we're starting to find out now with the IPF. So I don't think that's going to be the answer. So I think it probably will be something like that. Or they're even saying they can rejig things and maybe get back into LA in 2028 or something.
I don't want them to.
No?
Just end it.
Start again.
You ever known a mate who got back with his ex 10 times in a row? Has it ever worked out?
Nah.
Nah, fuck that. It's the same shit. Just can it.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think
all this
drugs are gonna
reaction
be
as well.
constant. How can you change that? It's the same with boxing reform. They're going to say they're going to reform judging.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
How?
Like it's corruption's part of the sport. This far in now.
Embedded in
like
the
it's
roots of the
ridiculous.
sport.
What think gear's going to get out of strength sport? No chance.
No, but
even with reform of a federation, really.
Yeah. No.
Drugs aren't going anywhere.
They're not. They're only getting better.
There's only one real solution.
Believe me.
One solution. Let everyone take him.
Let everyone take him. Well, that is
The only solution.
Or, like I said, with surfing, it's just like, do something. Let me see how it goes for you. Like, Sonny Garcia is the biggest guy I've ever seen win a world title. That was the power surfing era. He was like 90 kilos. Yeah, so it'd be interesting. I guess like modafinil maybe or something.
Modaf heroes.
Super drug.
We do love Modaf.
Sweating balls right now.
Yeah. We had our Christmas party on the weekend. You should have come one day earlier. You could have come and helped us tackle the bar the tab that we had in front of us.
I don't think I could handle the bloody hangover at the moment. It would just ruin me.
Yeah.
Half a mode daff.
Yeah.
And you'd be sweet.
Sweet.
That was one of my favorite
neurons.
story posts from you of all time before I met you in real life. It was like, you can't out Modaf a bender.
Yeah, you can't. As Buzz might be trying right now.
I've out Modaffed it.
You've out Modaf
Yeah,
it?
I'm sweet.
You've
I'm
worked
good
it?
now. Yeah, it was two days. Half Modaf, sweet. It's a sweet spot. You go any more than that, then you're just sweating balls.
Start
mess.
getting jittery and turn into a robot.
Yeah, I'm a bit clammy right now,
Yeah.
but functioning.
Functioning clam.
I'll crash at 5. I'll be a piece of shit at 5 p.m.
We've
Seriously.
got pizzas coming at 6 though.
Yeah, then it'll be sorted, brother. Just the scent. Oozy.
Curl up in a ball out the back.
That's it. We've got the. I'll be running off fumes off the launch today,
Yeah.
so it'll be sweet.
Yeah,
Nah,
so
the launch will be external.
well, that's it. If you're watching this, you can see that all
Validation.
3 of us are decked out. Angus asked in the car park, "Where's my shirt?" And we don't have them yet. They're coming at 12 o'clock. So
But like, excuse me, I didn't pack many good clothes because I didn't realize how much space wetsuits take up in your fucking bag. So I threw in 2 wetsuits and a beach towel. And I was like, all right, got room for 1 shirt now.
that's all right. High performance podcast. The other thing I wanted to, so let's just quickly go back to the Olympic weightlifting because I know you do have some strong opinion on a lot of things, but strong opinion on how it's run at all of the different levels.
There's unique problems at each level. Do you want me to go?
Yeah,
through
like because obviously, along with again powerlifting as a parallel to Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit's come in and absolutely blown up barbell sports in general. We saw a massive increase in both powerlifting participation at a grassroots level. Did we see the same thing from Olympic lifting?
Yeah, we did, but it was muted just by the same things that muted it in powerlifting, but those barriers were like way higher in weightlifting. So like you have to be a part of a weightlifting club. Like you can't just sign up.
Yeah.
Whereas like track and field, I can just go sign up for an amateur track and field meet.
By
Things
yourself.
like
You
that.
don't have to represent a club
Sorry
or
for not
something.
sniffing. Yeah, and it's just this thing of like you get into this sport, and especially you think of where CrossFitters come from. Like Sonny Webster wore a hat at the Olympics,
Yeah.
and people lost their shit. They're like, the disrespect. And this was in 2016, like backwards cap. People just couldn't handle that
Yeah.
in weightlifting. And that's the thing, like people come from CrossFit and then they're just thrown into this world with all this dogma and all these sacred rules and rituals and things like that. And to some people, that's a huge awakening. It's like this, they were looking for something a little bit different to CrossFit and they were looking for something with more structure and more ritual and things like that. But for other people, I think it was just a bit too much of a contrast and there was a lot of like elitism. Like, you know,
Yeah.
weightlifters are better than CrossFitters. CrossFitters just do like a watered down version of what they do. And then just like once you actually immerse yourself in the sport, in the internet age, like so many of the things that old weightlifting coaches say don't really hold up because everyone's sort of seen like, you know, the way Chinese or Asian lifters lift, but particularly like, you know, the Chinese just have, they're the new Russians of weightlifting, right? They're just absolute kings of modern weightlifting. And their technical model is like starkly different to this Eastern European or the more Middle Eastern technique with that big donkey kick and things like that. And, you know, the Chinese got this, I wouldn't say obsession with accessories, but they're definitely way more GPP than any other weightlifters. Yet
The Chinese are?
Yeah, and you talk to any weightlifting coach from any other country, is like, no, one way to do it.
Yeah.
And this is the way, and this is the best way.
fit
But
the
it's like,
model.
we're all aware of these other systems. And because it is a national Olympic sport, usually it's fine. You develop a weightlifting system, say you're in any country, right? And if you're getting people that are native to that country, they are likely to look more similar. But the world has changed and you've got all different shaped people everywhere. So we need to mix these systems together and start acknowledging them in the same room and just be like, there are multiple ways to approach this sport. So we need to diversify the technical model. But coaches don't like that because that ruins their guru persona.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of dogma, there's a lot of ego from the top. What is it with science? Like science progresses one death at a time, as morbid as that is. I think we'll probably see the same thing with weightlifting, that these current structures and coaches and all that sort of stuff that are probably holding it back into like the 80s and 90s style of coaching and programming. And
We've seen that in powerlifting though. When we did our course, we were told there's only one way to do it.
Rob Wilkes.
One way to do it.
There's one way to peak.
periodization.
Yeah.
Having
That's
said
it.
that, I think once you're in a system, it's just like things like that can be helpful from a BPS perspective, like giving people something to believe in. So like, I think once you're there, it's like, I'm not a guru, but can you pretend I'm a guru a little bit?
Yeah. It's a good point. That's a really good point. The BPS model comes back in.
I hate it because this is my thing. Like everyone's like, BPS model with like rehab and injuries and stuff. But I'm like, BPS applies to fucking everything.
Yeah,
It's not just like this pain thing. Like there's a biopsychosocial element to everything. Like your programming, like all of the stuff that you do. But back to the injury thing, I feel like that's what people miss. It's just like, well, if every problem is a biopsychosocial problem, every intervention, therefore, is a biopsychosocial intervention as well.
Well, life. It's like you're being influenced constantly, whether you're consciously aware of it or
Well, Jamie's the one that put me onto this. It's like, it's not these three separate lenses. You push them into the middle and like, you can't escape that. Like that, you're staring through all of them simultaneously, constantly.
Always.
Ideally.
It's always there. Whether and this is something that I've struggled with in the last 2 years. Obviously, the discussion of the BPS model, but also not the discussion of the BPS model. The how much more aware of that lens that we can look through things, and then growing up or coming up in a very biomechanical sort of influence, obviously from Eric Cressy, a lot of the Mike Boyle influence, a lot of those sort of guys. It's something that I've definitely struggled with as my awareness and understanding of all of these other influences that can impact not just training, but the person in front of you, and anybody that has come through any of our coaching streams over the last couple of years. Obviously, COVID was a bit of a blank blur, but like we're even like our internships, like we used to do so much like hands-on sort of coaching and stuff, and now it's just like. It's just a far more relaxed approach from a biomechanical sort of sense. How do you marry the two together? Like, obviously...
I think like discourse is a process and I'm trying to stay out of that conversation for now because similarly, like, I think the P and the S, it's a bit of shiny new toy syndrome and I'm trying to let people have their moment because we had such a biomechanical lens. I'm like, all right, if you want to throw out the B for a few years and just indulge in this P and the S for a bit, same as like I went way off the knees out and I'm just going ham on knees in. And I know it's not about knees in, it's just about letting knees be knees and not doing too much out or in. And the same way the B and BPS, it's not about forgetting about the B, it's just about can we actually acknowledge the P and the S. but the BP and the S are inextricably linked. So I think when this conversation starts to mature a little bit, we'll realize that like, and it can't just go back to the B, but at the end of the day, we're doing a lot of B, and the B is the thing that people come to us for. And the P and the S, like they get tacked onto it. If you have someone who is having movement problems and they don't know how else to move, and you give them a different movement solution, there are, depending on the person, to the extent of it, but there are massive psychosocial implications for that. If you change someone's belief fundamentally about the way that they can move, are you telling me that there's not a psychosocial component to it? And I'm not saying that that means like, oh, because the B is the P and the S, just stay in the B. But like, let's be a bit more sophisticated about our conversations about the B and just acknowledge this relationship a bit more. But no, I think like I said, we need that P and the S because it's like the relationship side of things are so important. And to the point where like, if you have a better biomechanical strategy, it doesn't matter if they think you're an arsehole or they don't trust you or, you know,
Yeah, for sure. I caught that, Donnie, too. But I think that's a really good way to. I think that's a mature way to look at the conversation.
You won't get that out of me.
And I was going to say, coming from you, there's no soundbite there. It's just a logical approach to.
Ask me about active ROM. We'll give you the soundbite of a fucking lifetime.
Well, maybe boomers. Okay, boomers. But no, I think it is a very mature way to look at it, and I think the old pendulum has swung.
Let it swing.
Yeah, let it swing.
Yeah. I've pushed a pendulum pretty hard in a few directions in my time, so.
Yeah, for sure. It is an interesting conversation, and I think it's something that will continue to evolve over the coming.
We're better
evolution.
for it. It's fucking painful, but we're better for it.
Just on something you did say there, which is like you can make a biomechanical change to somebody, and the belief and the sort of it becomes instilled in that change.
Like I'm quad dominant, and you make someone feel their hamstrings or glutes for the first time, and they're like,
yeah, exactly.
Completely change their belief system.
Yeah, and from like a performance metric as well. I know Bryce Lewis has a really cool post. It was from ages ago, but I always reference it, and it's like you can input like one variable or like one variation. So like somebody who says like, oh, I'm weak out of the hole in the squat or something like that. And then it's like, all right, well, do we do pause squats? You input pause squats. And then he's got like this flow chart of like all of the actual changes that have occurred from inputting the pause squat. And it's like, yeah, maybe we actually got stronger out of the hole, but it also is maybe the person feels more confident in the hole because they've spent more time there, and that's the change. And maybe blah, blah, blah. But it all comes back to you've made a biomechanical change. You've changed the B, which is biomedical, but biological, sorry. But it's biomechanics fits within that. But that change from a programming standpoint, yeah, even though it sits in the B realm, it can have an influence on the psychology of that individual as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously that can then progress a person's performance or strength output. Yeah.
And put yourself in a physio's shoes. Imagine that like you learn all this shit at uni and then you realize that like, or BPS model, and then, but you're not a psychologist.
Yeah.
So like, do you just refer it? Someone actually has a psychosocial issue. It's like, well, fucking refer it out if you actually think that this is the way.
Yeah. It is
but obviously that's tough, and that's the issue with curriculums and things like that. James Smith said it best. Like, as soon as you create a curriculum, it's out of date. And that is especially true in the fitness space. And that's why like I'm glad I didn't go to uni for anything like fitness related, because I think that makes people dirty at like, you know, the curriculum that they entered into and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. It is unis are outdated, fuck unis. But not at the same time, they're fuck unis.
I don't have a better solution. No one has a better solution, but we know unis aren't it.
Yeah.
Because you got your Seedmans and your bloody, and they all went to
I think
uni.
outside of first year, basic physiology, it's fucking
Yeah.
exercise programming.
Look
post
at
their
your
prescription.
your tutors in your classes that we had. Do you reckon they should?
I didn't go to any class.
Do you reckon they should be the ones teaching us about health and fitness? I don't even think half of them trained or did any.
Mate, people say that about me now. Watch your mouth.
They do.
I look like a uni lecturer.
Yeah.
Got the physique one.
You're shredded though, man.
Little bit.
Have you always just been like a shredded ab?
Well, I was on like a 2-year dreamer bulk that ended when COVID started, because I was like, all right, no weightlifting competitions for a while, get back into surfing. I did get up to 90 kilos, back down to 76
90
now.
kilos, holy moly.
Yeah, and I kind of had abs if I squeezed hard.
Squeeze.
But I reckon as soon as I gave up on my bulk, I lost 10 of that. in 10 weeks.
Yeah, just drop it.
I just went back to eating comfortably.
Yeah.
And just like my regular anxious self. Like when I stress, appetite goes.
Yeah.
It was so hard trying to grow a business in bulk.
Yeah. But you grew a business.
No, I ended my bulk.
Oh, all right.
And then I grew my business.
So you could only do one thing at a time. But yeah, you have grown your business, which is something it's exciting. Let's talk about that, because obviously you came through the CDP intake 1, which was good fun at the start of COVID, day one of
crazy.
the lockdowns. And then what, you just turned into an online coach and now you live in the free, have you?
Nah, because like
No,
I only really, it wasn't until June this year that it finally ticked over that I was making more money online than face to face, and that was only because gyms got fully shut down.
Yeah.
But it was awesome that I had a lot more online attention, that I wasn't, because I'd never asked for clients or anything like that. I just put out content, and like if people want to train with me, that's awesome. But COVID was the first time I was like, hey, does anyone want to train online, and things like that. So now I do have a bit more of like, I do identify more as an online coach, but to me, the face-to-face thing is still very meaningful and important, because that sort of feeds into my confidence to then go out and coach online as well.
For sure. What's the gym? What gym are you at?
CrossFit 168 in CBD, but they've also got 2 other facilities. Best CrossFit box in the game.
Oh, really?
It's
All right.
amazing.
Cool. And are you mainly doing Ollie lifting with your clients, or what's the general client?
There is no general client.
Huh?
Yeah, it's like literally from geriatrics to like youth, even youth non-athletes, weightlifters. The only thing I don't do is fat loss.
Yeah.
I just don't like telling people what to eat.
Like
I have a very emotional relationship with food.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if you can dream a box to 90 and then back down to 76 in 10 weeks.
Yeah. But I kind of, like, my whole thing is, everyone says, oh, principles over systems. I'm like, well, why do we have to stay in our lane?
Yeah.
Because if you got the principles and you believe in them, to a certain extent, you should be able to sort of step outside that, especially if the nature of physical preparation apparently is so general. So that's what I endeavor to do. Like, what can we get some governing principles about human movement? And then how can we use those to then diversify certain dogmatic technical models in those individual sectors? So I think there are like some key principles about human movement. And like, you know, we break them down in like 2 different stereotypes, the way people move. And already you've diversified your weightlifting technical model just by acknowledging that people have certain strengths and weaknesses and things like that. So that's what I'm always looking for. Like, you know, what is human movement about generally speaking? And then how can we apply that to specific domains? And in my eyes, that helps you work out like where the dogma might have been for just like sports being a bit too isolated on their own and not paying enough attention to what's going on around them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's been weightlifting for a long time. Just like completely got the blinders up. Everyone else is moving away from that USSR style periodization and things like that. And we're still like, yeah, man, like you read the Russian manuals? It's like, fuck, man. Like, or like what old mate's chart?
Prilipins.
Thank you.
I haven't,
Prilipins.
yeah. Mike Teixeira made me realize Prilipin's chart was just a bunch of just, yeah, literally.
on
But again,
paper.
that Russian thing was like input, output.
Yeah.
Like that was sort of how they interpret. And I think like in their society, there was more truth to that, right? Like you think about the USSR, it's like screw your BPS model. I'll tell you how your knee feels.
100%.
Your knee feels great. Get in there.
I think
but like in
more
our
variables were controlled for as well.
yeah, so
That's
it
what
was
it's
more closer to input, output. Because
exactly.
you're like, no, don't see your wife. Sleep in this room. I'm gonna lock your door.
You're gonna
I'll
eat
come
this.
get you in the
Yeah.
AM for your warm ups.
Take this, brother.
Yeah.
And then you're going to max your squat.
Yeah, so I think those are those like, it's not really psychosocial. That's more like what do you call that? Like your society and the cultural influence and things like that. But all that stuff bleeds through training and things like that as well.
Yeah, it's well, who do you think has a good grasp of it? Obviously, from a biomechanical model, we know like expansion and compression. You're ringing them bells.
I'm bullish on it.
Yeah, bullish. Hodl expansion and compression. Who else? Who else do you think has a really where are you getting your influence from a coaching perspective, or even just a thinking perspective of how you're viewing the progression of our understanding?
I really like Adarian Bar. Just the whole shin angles concepts and things like that. And because again, I think sprinting is there's a lot of dogma around that. But again, the thing I noticed when I watched the Commonwealth Games final or like any sort of 100-meter final is like you actually have probably the most diversity there in a lot of elite sports. So he's someone who's coming and be like, nah, there's probably a few things people are saying here that they're a little bit too rigid on. So how can we open up the technical model there? And sprinting's also a really technical sport where there's so much going on. Like you don't want people to be like, oh, put my knee here and then pronate my foot at this time and then like fourth met head contact and then roll across to the first. But like, you know, if you think about falling and self-organization and things like that, you just, you know, get someone task oriented, like coach the shin angles, and you can get a lot of other things going there. You can affect a lot of other things because nothing changes in a vacuum. You change a shin angle. So to not fall over, a bunch of other things are going to have to change. I'm probably completely bastardizing how he actually thinks and like his ideas on it. But that's sort of what I've taken from it. Darian Barr, trying to think who else. Honestly, in terms of like human movement, like so much of it, I've just been going down this breathing and walking rabbit hole for so long just because I was so down this weight room oriented rabbit hole. And I feel like when you combine those two worlds, you're in this awesome space where it's just like, all right, we know that there's so many different movement strategies and things like that, but you're not just going like, oh, anything goes, just do whatever. You still have a lot of like technical model to draw from.
Yeah.
It's just not too rigid.
Yeah, for sure. I think
because if you go too far breathing and walking, you'll just think that bilateral heavy lifting kills you.
Yeah, well,
and I'm just too into that. So I just ignore that aspect of the breathing and walking crowd. I'm like, what if they're both right? What if we just bring it all in?
well, there'd be a grey area in the middle where it all comes in and probably is more accurate than either end of the spectrum. The PRI influence is fucking ginormous at the moment.
Has anyone done a PRI? You have.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
It's so funny. People are like, you're a PRI guy. I'm like, well,
Never done it.
yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Mate,
Like, I like it. I like their YouTube videos.
I stick by it. I think we were the first coaches in Australia to do it.
Well, you went to America. You did it. You did the online course through when you were doing your internship with Cressy, and then you took me up to Newcastle. and We went 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
In 2016, and did it, and I'm still very thankful that we did it because it gave me a good understanding of like ribcage mechanics.
Who the fuck was talking about a ribcage before this
breathing
PRI
mechanics.
thing? Everyone's like, PRI. I'm like, well, if
It wasn't.
just
It was literally the
acknowledge
spine.
ribcage-
It was literally just lumbar spine, T-spine, scap. There was like this huge...
And because we ignored the ribcage, PRI came along and we're like, what else are we missing? Turns out it was just that the ribcage exists.
Yeah.
You just need to know it exists. People are like, it's crap, it's everything. It's like, it exists. You must acknowledge the ribcage.
Yeah.
I remember, so I went and saw like JP, our old osteo. I used to go see him at the uni clinic when he was finishing up. And he told one of the guys there that we'd done the PRI course, and the guy just shat on it. Like one of the lead osteos, they just shat on it. He's like, it's all joke, all bullshit. And I'm like, maybe. Like, and I think that's the problem with people. They just shit on ideas before they even look into it. And like, we're not married to PRI, but PRI gave us a very good
It gave us a good lens. It gave us a really good lens.
Early
Some
on.
of those basic principles still like dictate exercise selection for us. Like that's a thing. I don't know. I the whole pendulum's fucking pendulums.
It's that hindsight that's
Man,
always
no,
there.
Seriously, but I don't know. I'm not too far in the insta-sphere of people that use the principles too much. I just don't use Insta.
Consume, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't consume it anymore. But I say the biggest criticism right now is like, people that utilize those principles don't train.
All I do is max out.
Yeah, well, this is the
Like-
thing. Like, where does that come from? I understand there's people that have gone way too far in the other direction. Don't train. There's no stimulus. No,
It's just random people though. Like people talk about this
Random.
guy. He's like
Yeah,
this
exactly.
guy that found PRI and then quit powerlifting. I'm like, but who? Call them out. But everyone's like, no, it's this person. These people take it too far. I'm
No.
like, it sounds like this PRI boogeyman.
No, but I think it goes the other way as well. Like people go so far with the weight room mentality as well, and there's no in between.
Just get stronger.
Because I've met clients that have come through, and like I look at the exercise list that they've been prescribed by a practitioner, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like we've seen it. You know what I mean?
We see it a lot.
But again, minority. Like how many people are actually not training? You know what I mean?
It's so-
how
yeah,
many?
yeah.
Like I don't. You know.
Well, here's this thing as well. Like you start to talk about some of this intricate stuff, and I'm cool with being misinterpreted now. Because what you end up doing when you want to be not misinterpreted is you end up watering down your core message so fucking much. So I'm just saying how I feel, and like I know that the people who get it are gonna get it.
misconstrue
And
it.
there's neurotic people, and when it comes to PRI, they'll be like, you're not getting fifth met head contact. And when it comes to load management, they'll be like, you did 2 sets extra, let's fucking deload you as soon as you get a bit of a knee twinge. So it's this thing that PRI makes people neurotic. Some people just can't handle the details, and it doesn't matter what system you go to. they're always going to get caught up in the details. Some people, no matter what system it is, they're always going to step back and have this bird's eye view. And it doesn't matter how intricate the system is.
I remember you saying once, and I actually, well, a couple things here, but I remember you saying once that you can't teach critical thinking.
People will claim it though.
Yeah, exactly. And I never had thought about it like that, but it's so true. Like you have to experience situations where you can take that macro view. Like it doesn't matter how many times you tell certain individuals, hey man, step back, look at it from a larger picture, look at like all of these variables that are happening at once. Like I don't think you can teach it. I'm on board with you with that. I think you need to be in it and experience it and realize for yourself that, stepping back away, maybe taking a less nuanced view of something is probably going to be better in the long run. Like we don't have to sit here and circle jerk on fucking.
What scares me is with this all systems are wrong, some are useful, is people are throwing out the system altogether and I'll just do no systems. But I'm like, no, do them all and like get through all of them and then drink all the Kool-Aid and just mix it all together. Don't do this thing where you just reject all the systems because, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's, I get what you're saying. Like you're drawing on different systems to create your own influence.
Because you got to notice commonalities. There's things that Bill Hartman is saying.
There's so many commonalities, man.
That Adair and Barr are saying, and I don't think that they know each other. And that's that decentralized tinkering that Nassim Taleb's always talking about. Like that's what we need in the fitness industry. Not this ivory tower cuck bullshit sports science. We need just people doing shit in their different corners and coming back every now and then be like, what are you doing and how did it go?
Let's talk.
With your people and just move away like that. Whereas currently as it stands, it's just like, I don't know, the body of literature, some people just back it a bit too much.
Oh, evidence-based, man. Are you not evidence-based?
Evidence-based? And that's the worst thing is like, people don't realize that everyone thinks they're evidence-based. Like what percentage, because I've got an idea in my head, what percentage of people who claim to be evidence-based actually read research on a weekly basis?
I'd be fucking tiny.
And look, I don't even know if I want them to. Because it's a very slow way to get yourself across a topic.
It's boring.
I call it the intellectual scenic route.
Scenic route.
It's so boring.
It's
and it doesn't make you keen to learn for a lot of people.
Half the people don't even know how to I don't even know how to read research. Like when you've got Greg Knuckles,
he's the man.
No, but he's the man. But when you've got Greg Knuckles, who literally like dissects the math and finds problems in the papers, like literally brings the papers in, looks at them, and says,
the biggest producer of RCTs, at least out of Brazil, maybe the world.
Yeah,
he was one of the biggest producers of RCTs, fudging them, just making
up the numbers, and it takes these like independent groups like Stronger by Science and like Eric Helms or Greg Knuckles or whoever the hell it is. I don't know anybody within a striking distance of our network that would be able to look at those numbers and realize all of those errors and what's actually going on. Like it takes these like high level brains,
and it's still just some guy just being like, do a squat. That was a squat. I measure his squat. That's what I do.
Yeah, like
that's not scientific. Like when people say sports science, I think people get this idea of like test tubes, lab coats, but it's like, nah, it's just kind of guys doing stuff and recording it.
Yeah.
And we don't have the cohorts yet where I'm that keen to be like, oh yeah, that's enough people in that cohort.
I like the Ben House. I like the Ben House approach. You just get a whole bunch of jacked guys.
All the boys in the jungle.
These boys want to go to Ben House's jungle.
A bit of Kasem style basement science.
Yeah.
Costa Rica. We're going.
That does look hectic.
It looks mad.
Is that where they put the things in them to like live measure your blood sugar or something?
I don't know. I
think they just do whatever they want.
All I know is Buzz said we're going and we're going. That's
Ben House and the boys.
It sounds good. Jungle, weights, other heavies.
Are they selling tickets?
They've started again. He's moving back.
I think he just announced he was going back, so I guess he.
Yeah. Oh, get in it, boys.
Well, we got our own idea. Me and Buzz want to do the strength culture retreat.
Where?
That's
crazy. Let's
probably
do that.
No, because I was thinking we do an intensive in Bali.
Even within Australia, like same thing. Even just 10 guys, 15 guys, and run like.
Lock it in. Let's get it going.
3 days, 5 days a week, whatever we want to do.
Lifting weights in the day, howling at the moon at night.
Lifting weights. Talk about
Roxburgh Park.
Talk about ideas.
Psilocybin
mushrooms. Just everything.
Let's make it happen. How have I not been told about this?
I thought I told you.
No.
No, so
Under
Nico,
wraps. Hey, keep it on the deal.
under wraps. I went to Nico's and he goes, "What's next for you?" And I just started thinking, and I was like, "The boys retreat." I was like, "We got to do a retreat, strength culture retreat."
Yeah.
All right. And the idea was from Ben House.
Get Broady Plaza. We just stand there in the centre.
Yeah.
Just invite punch on. That's the way you get jumped in. That's it.
Trolley pole. Take a trolley pole to the upper back, and then you're in.
We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight as well. We're gonna
No,
fight
it's
each
just
other.
Jamie out the front with one foot in a tyre, and if you want in, you just put your foot in the
Let's
tyre, and
go.
a 5-minute timer starts,
Yeah.
and if you last the 5, you're in.
Yeah,
We'll start breaking down the program. I reckon there should be some like Turkish oil wrestling.
Yeah.
100%.
Naked Turkish oil wrestling. 100%.
Steak sandwiches only.
Yeah. No, but
We'll
it's
get him to cater it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh man, this is gonna pop off.
We need it. We need
Collab
it.
City.
We need it. Oh man, it has
the next collab we're doing is with Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
so-
Donnie's making the connects.
Louis Vuitton. Gonna get some shoes.
Donnie Vuitton over there.
Well, that was like you'd be
match
surprised. There was some New South Wales band called Gooch Palms. It was like 2-piece alt rock duo. Triple J wouldn't even give them a sniff, and then Gucci were like, "Yous have got a bit of an aesthetic. Like, let's just make them the runway models for Gucci." So you never know.
Well, it's
You
like
should go
the
designer.
Palms ex Gucci.
Gucci Palms. It's like the uninspired boys.
That's
Yeah.
been massive.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
every big house wants a slice of them right now.
They're everywhere at the moment. They have literally just like waltzed into. They were on a catwalk somewhere. They've just made a beer. They're
The deodorant, whatever the
the tradies.
tradie.
That was like one of their first ones. But yeah,
right.
literally they're just flying, man. Absolutely flying. Just from. This is what we want to do. Like we just want to be ourselves. Like this. Like you.
I think everyone just wants that deep down, and like that's been the best thing about I think the emerging online space for fitness and things like that and content creation like this. It's just like there are so many avenues to start putting yourself out there in a few different ways now.
Yeah, we can just be ourselves and do what we want to do. That's literally it. And we've been ringing that bell now for a little while since we reopened, really.
But it does take a while. Like I think you have to have the courage to like yourself a bit and put yourself out there first. Yeah.
Oh man,
Gotta be
I was
Too many
scared for
people do
ages.
it, and then they're like, they want to know what people think. I'm like, you don't though. Yeah.
No, not at all. I was scared for ages. I was like, oh man, I got to put info out. I got to be this guy. But that's the thing. It's like, no, there's a lot of people smarter than me, and I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy.
You're not that
Like,
guy, champ.
You're not that gay, bud.
It's not me. You know what I mean? And like the second that I started to pull back from that, I'm like, all right, this is actually really fun now, and I'm not fucking anxious all the time.
Once you-
Mate,
about
you've become
putting
the
something
split
out.
Scott God of Australia.
Yeah, that's it.
I,
Split squats, RDLs, and collabs. That's
Collabs. And steak sangers.
and steak hangers.
I went through that as well, where I was like, oh, I'm gonna do these posts, and I'm gonna do like I was inspired from Luke Tulloch, but that's Luke Tulloch being himself, and that's not me. Like I was doing these you know, this is what this research, but that's not me. I was like, I'm just gonna put up pictures, videos of me benching, and then the occasional photo with my mates, and
skateboarding.
I've gotten more followers just from doing that shit.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
you're
crazy.
it's authenticity. You're being yourself.
100%.
And that's the thing. You think you're unique, but the more and more you get out to the internet, it's like there are so many people just like me. Like I was like, oh yeah, strength sports and surfing, and you know, and the music I listen to and my little mustache, that's pretty unique. But then some guy from Portugal follows me, literally competes nationally in powerlifting, rips in the surf, has a better mo than me, and super into biomechanics. I'm like, it's, you know, when Millhouse finds the Millhouse from Shelbyville,
Yeah.
it was literally like that.
He's just better. He's just better. One of the questions that we did get on talking about ourselves, and you can answer this however you want, but one of the questions that we did get in the little question box, a lot of them were just like discussing names, which I don't really want to go through that, but it'd be like, oh,
Can you please talk shit about this
yeah,
person?
it literally
live?
like that's what it was. I'm like, it was
People want it so bad, hey.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it's like, but in the public space, people are like, oh, why is everyone so mean to each other? But behind the scenes, people are like, fucking go in on them.
Yeah, exactly, like the amount of people sending you whatever. But somebody said, what made you so angry? Like, why are you so angry and got so many chips on your shoulder?
I'm not. I'm actually a people pleaser. Like I'm in therapy right now, trying to be like, how do I be less of a people pleaser? Because like, what helps me in the online space is there's a big divide. Like people are like, how do you have the
tribal.
balls to say that?
It's just
I
tribalism.
say it and I put the phone down and no one's hurt me yet. I'm angry because I've been wronged. I guess. Like I feel like not really. Like I just take everything personally, and it took me a while to realize that. But I just got to this point 3 years into the fitness industry where I felt I've been so wronged that I was like, got to put out some stuff to try to correct it. Like this is how I see it. This is trying to shape the experience that I wish I had as a skinny guy coming into the fitness industry. And yeah, now I'm not angry, but it's just a way of expressing myself. And I guess sometimes it comes across a little bit angry.
Aggressive.
In the tone and things like that. But yeah, just so many times in my life, just whether it was like the way I moved and people like, that's like the wrong way to move, and just the lens that people viewed it through. And I think it was just, everyone was so confident in the fitness industry that they had the solutions and things like that. And I think 5 years ago, 5 years from then, everything just changes. And then go another 5 years and everything gets, people get infinitely more hindsight from it and things like that. And I think I'm just resentful of that in hindsight.
Yeah. And you're speaking to the younger Angus.
Yeah, and all the things, not the things that I believed in, but I guess the ideas that I was exposed to that I initially had a poor knee-jerk reaction to, but then I was like, nah, trust them, like they've been in the industry longer than you. Yeah. And that's the thing as well. It's like this industry is just way too primitive for anyone to be acting like they have the answers.
This is one of the things that I've got a really, I think it's a positive view on, but the fact that the industry is so young, but now I feel are entities that are going to actually progress past like 10, 15 years. Like I put ourselves in that in Australia when we're talking about like an Australian industry. Like if you look back like 5 years ago, Woodford was there. Core Advantage was there. Athletes Authority was just getting started. JPS sort of a couple years in. We just getting started. Like I feel like these like entities that are starting to grow out of which originally was just like sole trading business. So like when you view it from that, like this industry is so fucking young.
Well, that's why I hate it when people are like, it's just going around in circles. I'm like, are you paying attention?
Yeah,
like,
no.
What the fuck?
It's actually moved so much in the last 5 years.
How
and
far
I'm
do
just
you have to
talking
go
about
back to
Australia
where
here.
everyone's simply shredded profile was like 4x10 this, 4x10 this, 4x10 this, 4x10 this, bro split?
Yeah, like it actually has in the last 5 years moved so far, but it's literally, I view it as only 5 years old.
How long has drug tested powerlifting been going on in Australia with more than 1,000 people doing it?
I don't know. I don't even know if there's.
And people want to. Another cycle of this. PRI is coming in again, or this is coming in again. I'm like, not really.
Yeah, like that's another one. I actually really like your post because there's enough in there to make you think, and if you've got enough experience, you can really.
It's like this industry is cyclical if you let it be, and you make it cyclical by pushing things out. It's like stop bashing what you were doing 5 minutes ago. People make themselves sick of what they were doing 5 minutes ago when they learn something new, and it's that emotional reaction of throwing out the old that keeps the cyclical feeling of this industry going. Stop hating your former self. View yourself as something that progresses and grows over time. Whereas like people are like, oh, you should have seen what I was doing 6 months ago. It was fucking trash. I'm like, stop saying that. It wasn't. Or give everyone a fucking refund.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's true.
It's just something cute that people say. And it feeds into this other thing that old coaches do where like they'll simultaneously, in one hand, they got 20 years experience card. They'll play that when it's opportune. But then they'll still play I should have seen what I was doing 6 months ago. I'm like, you can only play one of those fucking cards. Which one do you want to play with me? You can play the experience card or you can play this is a 6 month model. Like,
yeah. No, it's cool. I think we're in a really good space in Australia.
And I guess framing it like that's my whole thing is like, I never want to pay my dues. I did a 6-week course online to get into this industry. And I feel like the fitness industry, it has had that attitude of like, well, I got here first, so you have to learn off me.
Yeah.
And I just, fuck that.
Nah. Well, that's where the decentralized decentralized education now as well, which is cool.
Anti-fragile principles.
Yeah. You've read that book, haven't you?
Yeah, just keep tinkering, brother.
Just keep tinkering.
That's so good.
Hormesis. Does response.
Crazy. What other questions did we get? Let's have a look. Let me have a look through my my stuff. If there's any questions you got, boys, we're at 45 minutes now, so we're
cruising.
Any advice for PTs and strength coaches? Just general advice. Real general question that one is.
Back yourself. Anytime I've ever been dirty at something, coming out at the end of it, whether it was an opinion or like a work choice or anything, especially the opinions, it's like back your own opinions. Even like, because there's so many people as well who are probably good at convincing you're wrong, even when you're not. I think we've all been in a situation like that. And it's just about having the patience just to sit with things for a little bit longer. If you hear something and it's like intense and it's someone you look up to is saying it, just sit with it for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Feel it out.
Yeah.
Feel it out and trust yourself, back yourself in.
Yeah, because especially so much of it is coming through like meme content these days. And like, that's the thing. I think it's like a lot of people are more afraid of, it's like the being made fun of and things like that.
Yeah, the memes.
Everything's getting memed. And I'm pro meme, massively pro meme.
It actually is like the Compound Boys, I think. I go in cycles with viewing their content. Sometimes I get a bit frustrated. I'm like, oh, you guys, like the typical, like, oh, you guys shouldn't be making this. Like, you. But then I had a conversation with them and they're like, we literally do it because it gets better engagement. like a meme gets 4 times the amount of engagement than one of our educational posts. Why we use IG as an attention grab strategy. So we're going to do what gets attention, which is memes. So like the memeized culture.
People's attitude to Instagram as well is so weird because in a certain, people are like, oh, why is Instagram all memes? I'm like, well, it's always been memes. You only just realized that. Like you were in a meme. Like you were making what you thought was educational content. It was memes from the start.
Yeah. Nah.
Because it just rotates out too quick.
Yeah. Nah, memes are good. They make you think. And again, if you've got the experience to look at it more objectively and actually like analyze sort of what the point is, and you can sort of put your own feelings and ingredients into the meme, and and anything could come out of the meme. Like it makes you just think.
Well, it's just a conversation starter, and then you can, if you want, you can go full PubMed in the caption if you feel so.
That's
inclined.
my favorite thing when people reference a PubMed. Like they put their
worlds colliding.
They put the PMID and then like the 8 digits afterwards. And like, man, we're on Instagram.
Yeah, it's so
insane. What's
insane.
going on here?
That's the biggest red flag for me. If I see a PMID in the comments, I'm like, nah, man, come on.
Come on.
Go to LinkedIn.
Boomed. Yeah, go to LinkedIn. Yeah, you got boomed. And then maybe the final one, which is just circling back to PRI, but somebody, Sebastian asked, more details on your new quick client assessment, breathing and walking. Do you have a new client assessment?
Yeah, I like to see the way people just walk around. I think that's an underrated assessment, and a lot of my assessment process, which people usually pass with flying colours, the whole idea of it is about making it less performative, because as soon as someone knows they're in an assessment, it's a performance. All the world's a stage. They'll show you how they want you to think they move, and like you'll still see it because the CNS is king. That like the amygdala just controlling everything so well, and that's what I like to see. Just assess people without them knowing they're being assessed. So a lot of it is just like how they walk into the room. What did you notice about them? Because if you understand the gait cycle, there's a lot of like physical qualities that you can make assumptions about, and it is a bunch of assumptions. But then at least it gives you this roadmap to then go and explore with more complex movements or assessments down the line. So it's just a starting point. Watch someone walk. Watch someone pick something up off the ground, or it could just be like a toe touch. And then just like get them to balance on something. Just see how, when they get disturbed, how do they organize a little bit? They're the main things.
Yeah.
And that could be anything. And that's the thing. I think people just are a bit too rigid with their assessment process. It's like you don't really need to see any one thing from people. You just need to see generally about them. So it's like what informs your own idea of what's relevant to someone's movement and things like that. And to me, it's just like, how do they get around?
Yeah. Generalized view. A general lens. Not looking for anything specific. I like it. That's pretty much it. We're at the 50-minute mark, which is bang on what we want for these potties. Do you have anything going on at the moment that you want to spruce? You're at the end. I don't know who's left.
Like for anyone who's listening who doesn't take their accessories seriously and you have been hesitant of being made fun of for doing a bunch of breathing drills, I've got essentially my PRI/rehab Trojan horse program, which is based Armageddon restorative arm training. So just the idea of incorporating all these different reaching positions into your arm training. And just like, I know baseball people get told not to train their arms. Weightlifters get told that arm training is a waste of time. I think by and large we've been told up until recently that arm training's not that functional. So I'm
athletes,
like, let's go the complete opposite way and lean into it. So I've got Armageddon there. If you're curious about integrating some breathing principles into your arm training, still catching a good pump. Outside of that, just keep an eye out for the content.
IG. It's flying at the moment.
Soaring like an eagle.
It's doing it. Soaring like an eagle.
Soaring like a turkey.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. But that's about it. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for tuning in, all the Way here with Angus. You can follow him on Instagram. We'll link it all in the bios and descriptions as well. And then also, the final thing is we've got one more potty coming out next week, which will be our 2021 recap from the boys. The boys are all going to be back next week. And then we'll probably take a week off for the first week of Jan, but then we'll be straight back into it after that. So thank you very much for the support so far on the podcast. It's been great. If you can, leave us 5 stars. It helps us more than you think. Share it around on social media. Tag us, tag Angus, get it out there. Thank you very much. We're done.
Bye.